If somebody tells you they hunt Texas, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
Everything's bigger in the Lone Star State. There's no question about that.
There are a lot of great whitetail hunting opportunities in Texas where you've got a great chance at killing a good buck.
I'm Steve Bartella.
I'm Gordy Cron.
I'm Mark Kaiser.
I'm Dan Schmidt, and this is Deer and Deer Hunting TV.
You might think that all Texas is the same. It's not. Trust me, I've been there. Texas is broken up into regions, and every one of these regions is different. You have North Texas, you have South Texas, you have West Texas. South Texas known for the great big deer. North Texas known for a lot of deer, different antler configurations. West Texas, a whole different ball game. It really depends upon what part of West Texas you're in as to how many deer you're going to see and how big the bucks are going to be.
I think Texas gets a bad rap when it comes to whitetail hunting. That the only way you're going to kill a big buck is hunting high fence.
These are free-range deer. They're wild deer. They're skittish. If they smell you, they're gone. If they see you, they're gone. If they hear you, they're gone.
So we've put that Texas myth aside that the high fences are creating this fish in a barrel type situation. You still have your work cut out for you.
Whether you go to South Texas, West Texas, Northwest Texas, these are different regions and different terrain types. So you can apply spot and stock strategies, you can hunt over agricultural fields, you can hunt over food plots.
On some of my hunts, we actually did spot and stalk situations where you were out putting miles and miles on your boots, trying to get up on high rises, looking down into little openings and trying to find that buck.
All of these play into where you're going to hunt, how you're going to hunt, what strategies you're going to apply.
North Central Texas, near Aspermont, Texas, Patterson Ranch. Butch Nutting and John Heaton, they do a marvelous job managing this free-range ground for whitetails.
Most of the guys I talk to and deal with, they don't want to go do a pinned up deer. They want something that's out in the wild that you actually have to hunt. So it makes it more challenging to manage your deer herd whenever you have a low fence ranch.
It's not a real known area of Texas, but let me tell you, it is a hot ticket. John manages his ranch really well. He has a specific number of does they need to take out every year and a specific number of bucks, but not just going after those big bucks, mostly going after the management bucks. In this one particular stand, John knew there were 5 mature bucks. Can you believe that? I mean, I've never seen that before, but 5 fully mature bucks frequenting this one area. We're talking 6, 7, 8-year-old deer. Management bucks because they are past their prime or they just never were going to blossom into anything ginormous.
And what it takes there is just a little bit of patience in their home range. At some point, they're going to show up.
And the quality of the deer is really quite spectacular. I've seen some of the best bucks of my life in Texas, not behind high fences either. These are free chase whitetail deer.
So the stage is set. I mean, I know the Patterson Ranch. It's an awesome ranch. I know the deer are there. John showed us the deer. They're there. Now it's all on me. You're watching Deer and Deer Hunting TV.
Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable. Mossberg, built rugged, proudly American. Nikon, the next generation in hunting optics. Cuddyback, more deer, fewer blanks. And by Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology. Apply, dry it, and go hunt. Welcome to Texas, or more specifically, Northwest Texas, which is home to the Patterson Ranch.
It's beautiful country. It has a lot of different adversity. You get canyons, you get flatlands, you get shinnery brush, low brush, thick brush. So you got elevation changes, and that creates a lot of bedding areas for the animals.
Everything we do on the ranch now is guided. We want to make sure that everybody has a good experience, that they don't get lost, and that they don't take animals that we don't want taken.
This ranch in particular, you know, it's special because it's been through many generations of families and survived.
So about 10 years ago, Butch and Doug decided that they were going to start doing deer hunts besides the quail hunts. And it was a great idea, but all of a sudden one day Butch and I looked up and he and I were the ones up there cooking and cleaning and taking care of the hunters.
Our average deer of the ranch was 115 when I first arrived, and now 10 years later we're trying to, you know, we're up to about 125, and that's our average buck.
Well, that should be it. I think I have all my gear, and I'm ready to hunt some cull bucks, and they got some big ones here in West Texas. I'm pretty excited. Let's get this started. I did not want to shoot a doe this morning. I'm very excited to shoot a doe. But that big old nanny doe, she knew we were here. She smelled us, she blew. She did that a couple times. And I made the decision, we're here to make some venison this week. And I think we have a good doe down here. So we're gonna stay put. You don't know, there might be more deer coming in here. And when she first got here, she knew something wasn't right. But as any smart deer does, she circled wide. She wanted to get to this food plot. Circled wide, they got in the food plot, and all it takes is one molecule of scent. She smelled it, she blew, she turned, she ran, and she stopped. Now, in a situation like that, when I'm doe hunting, that doe's got to go down. I'm going to bring her home to the freezer. That is a smart deer, and she's going to educate every deer in this valley. All right, she was standing right on the other side of here, and I know that she came through this area somewhere. There's a trail that comes right up through here. And hey, look at this. Look at this. Is that what I think? Hey, look at it. I think she's right there. Because I saw her walk through this gap. We have a deer on the ground. We have a nice doe on the ground right here. You know, Texas is the place to be if you want to have a lot of fun. And for me, fun is helping manage the deer herd. We're hoping this is just the beginning of a lot of good things this week. Well, John, we got one on the ground. You know, I know you've been trying to target certain age classes. What are you trying for again here? I estimated this door to be at least 4 years old. And she came in blowing. She had 2 other ones with her. That's kind of what you want to take out of the ranch right now, don't you?
Yes, sir. That's a perfect age class to take out right now.
Well, let's get her back to the cooler. It's going to heat up, and maybe we can get a buck in our sights this afternoon. All right, let's do it.
This segment of Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by Matthews.
So the particular buck that we're hunting, he is ancient. John didn't even know how old he was, but as he was looking through his trail camera photos, this buck keeps showing up, and not only in the recent photos from this year, they were from the year before, and the year before that, he had them all the way back to 2009.
Our ultimate goal is to make sure we have a healthy deer population, healthy animals.
So on this hunt, you get to see that kind of senior level management, kind of graduate level management. Okay, sometimes you have to call an audible when you're hunting. We got into the blind this afternoon. The box blind hadn't been hunted for a long time. It was filled with yellow jackets. I'm allergic to bee stings, so I didn't want to take a chance. Jay, our camera guy, astutely said, sometimes the best hunts happen during the worst circumstances. John came and put us in a different blind. You just never know, you know. Sometimes when you think everything's going wrong for you, something goes right for you. I just have a feeling, don't want to jinx us, I have a feeling tonight might be one of those nights. There's a big 10-pointer and a big 8-pointer coming into this feeder. Has not been hunted yet this year. You have a food plot right to the left. There's a water tank to the right. Lots of cover, food, water. Doesn't get any better than that. Stay tuned. Now the Patterson Ranch, they use protein feeders. They do feed with a little bit of corn. This is just a supplement. This really isn't a hunting tactic. This is a supplement to the native vegetation down there, which has been scourged by years and years and years of drought. On this particular hunt, some recent rains had come in, have greened things up a little bit, making it even more difficult to see a deer coming to a protein feeder, because now these deer are on their natural time clock, so to speak, on their feeding behavior. The afternoon starts progressing. I don't know if we picked the right spot. You know, we saw one doe. She came out from a food plot. She started just feeding naturally, browsing in front of us. Just was going to go up to the bedding area, which is where we thought that buck might be. But she milled around just enough. The rut was just on the cusp of happening. This was a young doe, but still it was a doe. And sure enough, as the afternoon wears on a little bit, we see more movement, and here he comes. This buck pops out, but he's standing there and he's staging in the brush. He's not coming to eat. He came out because he knew there was a doe there, and he stood there and he waited and he looked and he waited, and guess what? He locked onto that blind, and he caught me in mid-frame. I'm frozen and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Finally, he's okay, flicks his tail and he starts walking through. That's when I get into position. So he's walking around this little fence. It's actually a hog fence. They put these short fences around the protein feeders so the hogs don't get in there and eat all the protein feed. And I have a window of about 5 yards. 2 steps and he's out of my life. I had to move, and I had to move fast. Yeah, yes, 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 yes. That might just be the biggest Texas buck I ever shot. Holy cow. He is a dandy. Oh my God, is he dandy. Oh my God. He's the big 8. He's the big 8. He is a giant. 8. Wow. Let me put my Mossberg down. He is a giant 8-pointer. That's the biggest 8-pointer I've ever shot. He is just absolutely beautiful. He is a toad.
Congratulations.
And this is what we do in Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, John, you were telling me you've had pictures of this deer for years.
Yes, sir.
What do you think? He's 8 years old?
Yeah, he's 8.5 years old.
Holy cow.
Good job.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful.
He's an awesome buck.
What's the first thing you do when you arrive in hunting camp? Gordy Cron advises that you sight in your deer rifle, and he shows you a few tips on dialing it in when we return. Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by Thompson Center, America's master gunmakers. Analogics, protect your herd with the power of science. Get armed and deadly with Easton's FMJ arrows. And by 10-Point Crossbow Technologies. There is no substitute.
I don't care if you're traveling by plane, train, or automobile. The first thing you need to do when you get to deer camp is check the zero on your rifle. I can't tell you how many times I've got to camp, shot my gun, and it was off. Sometimes just a little bit, sometimes a whole lot more. Let's go take a look. Okay, not exactly what I was hoping to see, but not bad either. I had my Mossberg Patriot zeroed in 2 inches high at 100 yards. As you can see, I've got that perfectly, 2 inches high, but I shot about 2 inches to the right. So really all I gotta do is give her about 8 clicks over to the left and I'm good to go. I'll probably shoot a 3-shot group at that point and I'm ready to go hunting. So there you are, quick and easy, didn't burn a lot of ammo. But what if my shot hit over here, or even worse, what if I completely missed the paper? Okay, don't panic. I've got a couple quick tips that'll get you right back on the paper and zeroed in quick without burning up all your ammunition. When I left home, I had my Mossberg dialed in 2 inches high at 100 yards. Okay, I've taken the shot and I hit over here, about 8 inches high and 8 inches to the left. Okay, not good, right? What I need to do is get back, obviously, 2 inches over the bullseye. Now I could start counting clicks and start working, back towards the bullseye, but I'm likely to burn up a lot of ammo doing that. There's a quicker way to do it. Okay, what we need to do, obviously, is get the scope back in line with the rifle bore. Now, there's an easy way to do it, but it really requires a steady rest first. Something like this lead sled. You can do it on sandbags too. Just make sure that your rifle is very stable and it won't move during this process. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is get my scope lined up where I want the bullet to impact. In this case, we're talking that 2 inches over the bullseye again. Okay, so I've got it dialed into that. The gun is steady, it's not going to move. Now, to realign the gun, I want to walk the scope up to where that impact was, that impact that was high and to the left. So I just look through the scope and I turn the turrets until the scope lines up with that bullet hole. Now what I've done is I've put the crosshairs back in alignment with the bore. Now I should take another shot and I should hit that 2 inches above bullseye. If the gun moved just a little bit or if I flinched a little bit, I can take a few shots and do a little bit of fine tuning at that point. But I'm talking 2, maybe 3 shots and you're back on target again. Okay, now what if you missed the paper completely? Big deal, right? Not so much. I've got a quick tip that'll get you back on the paper for that too. Same thing, we're going to need a very solid rest. This time I'm actually going to go another step and secure the rifle really good because I do not want it to move at all. Okay, what I need to do obviously is just get back on the paper. I don't need to find the bullseye at this point. I just need to get back on the paper so that I can use the other step that we just talked about to get back to the bullseye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the bolt first of all. Now I can look down through the bore of the rifle down to the target and I can try as best I can to get the bullseye lined up dead center in the bore of the gun. Okay, I might try that a few times until I get it as best I can dead center in the middle of the bore. Okay, now what I want to do is look through the scope, and yeah, right away you can see that the scope, the crosshairs are not on the paper, and that's why you're not hitting the paper, obviously. So now I'm just going to dial the turrets again until I get back down to the bullseye where that bore is lined up. So I'm just going to turn the turrets again. Okay, once you've got the bore lined up as best you can with the bullseye and you've dialed in the scope to the bullseye, I'm guessing that you're going to be back on the paper. So it's just a simple matter now, putting the bolt back in, loading up around, and sending it at the paper. Now you're probably going to hit, you might be 2 inches, 3 inches, 5 inches, 8 inches off target, but at least you're on the paper, and you can use that last tip to walk your bullet back over to the bullseye and then do a little fine tuning if you have to. You're going to maybe use 4, 5, 6 rounds and you're going to be back on target. The gun gremlins can strike at any time. That's why it's important to check your zero when you get to deer camp. And if your gun is off, you can use these tips to quickly get back on target without burning a lot of ammo.